キラで可愛い女の子たちの邪魔をする悪役許せない成敗よ。変身はできないけどフルメイクで向かうの今日も悪と戦うのちょっと待っててねメイクが間に合わなくなっちゃうのもうちょっと待っててよスマホいじってればいいでしょ何を着たってピンとこないの悩んでもいいでしょインスタで私だけ見ているのよお願いニコニコでキュートな女の子たちの邪魔をする君はお仕置きで成敗よネイルが乾くまでの時は何をすればいいの今日は何と戦うのちょっと私ねヒールの高さ決まらないの悩ませてもちょっとストーリーでも見ていてよアクセサリーはどれがいいのどれも決まらないの最新のとびきりのとこをチェックお願い変身はできないけどフルメイクで向かうの今日も悪と戦うのちょっと待っててねメイクが間に合わなくなっちゃうのもうちょっと待っててよスマホいじってればいいでしょ何を着たってピンとこないの悩んでもいいでしょインスタで私だけ見ているのよお願いキラキラで可愛い女の子たちの邪魔をする悪役許せない成敗よ変身はできないけどフルメイクで向かうの今日も悪と戦うのちょっと待っててねメイクが間に合わなくなっちゃうのもうちょっと待っててよスマホいじってればいいでしょ何を着たってピンとこないの悩ん
All eyes on me! Yahoo Yahoo, I'm Sunny!
I'm Koda.
I'm Azra. And we are My name is Eggy Drago. I am the cream of the crop. I am the yolk on top. Former VTuber, current human being? God, she's so pretty. Oh my god. It was back in early 2024 when I went to an idol concert in Japan on a whim because of my VTuber Oshi who graduated. Needless to say, I got hooked. I think we like idols. After meeting and talking to 2 English-speaking idols there, I realized every single idol has a story, be it why they chase this dream, their ups and downs, and even their future after all this. And that's what I'm here to do. To learn more about idol culture, listen and talk to idols around the world, be it from Australia to Japan to here in the US, and to give them a platform to tell their story. Every idol has a dream and a story to tell. This is IDOLEYEZ. A lot has changed since the last time Sunny was on the show, from Double Eclipse to Ignition to the release of MAHOU GYARU. I think it's time to catch up. All eyes on me. IDOLEYEZ, episode 49, Sunny, Encore edition. Tonight. Will it load? Is it gonna load? Will it load? Is it going to load? It loads! Hello!
Yeah!
Whoa! I am the cream of the crop. I am the yolk on top. I am Mighty Eggy Drago. And we are here for IDOLEYEZ episode 49 with our first official encore guest. They are a TMNT aficionado. They are... they love pink. They are a current member of FAEBLE, the leader of FAEBLE, the creator of FAEBLE future. They are currently taking over the FAEBLE social media accounts everywhere, on IG, on Twitter, on Friendster, on MySpace. This is Sunny day. Hello.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Thank you
Should
for
we make a favorite MySpace? OMG.
Thank you for accepting this invite to be on for the first ever encore. Technically, Ashes is now like a 4-time guest, but that doesn't really count. But first ever encore.
Nice. I was the first encore. I'm honored.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it has been, I think, July 2024 was the very first IDOLEYEZ with you. We are not going to like go through the past of whatever of how you got into like the idol scene. If you want to do that, if people are really interested, please watch that VOD. It's on IDOLEYEZ 101 on YouTube. But I'll briefly recap, kind of, sort of. You just fill the gaps for me. So, you first joined Muse Australia with like Tears Chu, with Azusa, with Rhea, with Christy. Did a little thing in like a small cafe, not like AGS, but like a small restaurant. It was like a curry place or something.
Oh yeah, we danced out on the street one time for a curry place. Yeah.
Yeah, I did
that.
Muse slightly slowed down a bit. People had babies. People got married. So with that, you still had that itch for idol. So you contacted Willow and Christy and formed FAEBLE. It was a hectic debut. What else happened? Lockdown screwed everything up a little bit, right?
That did indeed it did.
What else? Lockdown. Everyone was out. Lockdown again. So you recruited 2 new members, Naya and Mayhem. Christy and Willow graduated. Well, Willow took a hiatus, then graduated. Christy graduated, I think, right?
Yeah.
And then
Christy graduated a year later. Willow graduated a year later.
I see. I see. And then, boom, May 2024, June 2024, you released To the Future EP. Did that open for Lady Beard, boom. And then, I guess, flash forward to December 2024. Might as well get into it.
Yeah.
So, 2024, big hit to FAEBLE when two graduation announcements happened. It was Mayhem and Nae that announced their graduation, and they would graduate at Double Eclipse, which would be the following month in January. What was your reaction to all of this happening?
I cried a lot. I cried so much. It was hard because we were only expecting Mayhem to graduate. So we typically like to tell people in person before the announcements go up on social media. It feels a bit more personal. It's otherwise it feels, I don't know, man, the graduation text announcement to me, it's giving phone text breakup, and
Oh, no.
I don't know, we're not like super into it. So we like to like tell people at a show first. So we pre-announced like Mayhem. We knew Mayhem was going to be wrapping up towards the end of the year, and I was very sad about that. But it was what it was. I had some time to prepare, and then Naya's was much more sudden surprise to everybody, including me and Naya.
Really?
So we weren't as mentally prepared for that one, and then two at once was just a lot. But also, they were very much the twins of FAEBLE, you know, they were pretty much inseparable. They came in together. It made kind of sense that they left together, honestly. It felt like, you know, almost meant to be a little bit. They wrapped up together.
That would have been like a big hit for FAEBLE, because like that's two members out of the three. So
yeah,
ooh, that
the majority of the team.
That was pretty. I mean, like, did you like understand their reasonings for like graduating out of the group?
I did understand their reasons, and I've never, even if I didn't, like, it's not my choice. I've always said since like day one, FAEBLE will do it as long as you're having fun and you're enjoying it. And the second you don't want to do it anymore, or it's not fun for you, or it's too stressful, you don't have to do it anymore. That's fine. Like, I'm not gonna, you know, it's supposed to be fun. And if the whole team didn't want to do it anymore, we won't do it anymore. So, but they're very much like, their circumstances made sense. I was really happy for them to be moving on to other things that excited them. Same with Christy and Willow. Like, I'm very happy that everyone who's left FAEBLE was moving on to other things that they enjoy and are passionate about, or other ways of exploring things they enjoy or are passionate about. So they're very sad because they're leaving, and I want them to stay in my group, and I miss them a lot. But it was they were all leaving on happy terms to do happy things. So it's very unique emotionally, because I want to cry, but also I'm so happy for you, but also
I was gonna ask, like, was this similar or different compared to Willow's and Christy's graduation announcements?
it was more similar to Christie's, I guess. Christie's was hard because it was the first one, so it was the first graduation we ever did. But also, we were still at the old venue, and it was very, like, I was doing a lot more admin show running. I don't know, people who've been in the scene a while will remember what it was like back when FAEBLE was SCAC and Sunny was just running around. I didn't really get to do much idle because I was too busy running the show. So it was still a lot of that, and I felt very distracted by that. So I was really upset. And Christy was moving across the country, so we were losing them in that aspect, which was really sad. Like, it's sad when they're leaving the team, but also I wouldn't get to see them as often anymore, and we're all very close. We see each other multiple times a week, every week for years, so it's kind of very hard, that separation aspect. So Christie's was really hard. Willow's was also sad, but Willow very much wanted to have like a party celebration graduation, and I think they did that really well. It was slightly less for me to do, so I was a bit sadder, but it was very like happy. They're going on to VTubing, which they love. I'm so happy for them, and they still live in Sydney, so I still get to see them. So it was like, you know, that was all right. But, you know, May and Nay, by that point, the show was their show, so they ran it. I had very little to do with most of it. I was very hands-off, which was almost worse because I couldn't distract myself with it. So I just kind of rocked up and did the songs they told me to and cried a lot. But yeah, the combination of two people at once and then them going overseas, which is even further than Christy, I was inconsolable.
I mean, for me, I think, yeah, FAEBLE would have been my very first, I guess, Kai Guy Idol group, like, announcement. Like, this was my, like, very first, like, graduation announcement or, like, people leaving announcement. It was like, whoa, like wow, like I couldn't believe it. Like at like 4 a.m., 5 a.m., like reading the tweet, and I'm like, what happened? But at least I was still in shock, like reading it, but like at least double eclipse happened and everything went great, actually. So
Yeah, it's not super common in Australia, to be honest. A lot of groups are more likely to reformate or make a new group than graduate members and take on new members. There's very few multi-generational groups in Australia, interestingly. So it was a bit crazy for everybody, to be honest.
So you said, "Oh my God, Ashes with the raid." Thank you. Hi everyone. This is Idoleyez Encore edition with our guest tonight, Sunny. Sunny
Yeah, I'm
day.
from Australia.
It's from Australia. From Australia.
Yeah.
Follow,
Today, it's morning over here.
follow Sunny everywhere. Oh, that I don't think that Twitter is right, but all right. Follow FAEBLE. This is so outdated. My bad. Follow the FAEBLE one.
Fine. Follow FAEBLE, and then I'm all over it this morning.
Yeah.
So there's fine.
I should have updated that. My bad. But yes, hello
right.
everyone. Idoleyez, Sunny. Let's talk about it. So with Double Eclipse, it wasn't really. It was mainly like produced by Nai and Mayhem with the set list and everything. What was the vibe like before this show for you?
So I just want to make clear, it was a lovely show. Everyone was very happy. It was very wholesome. It was super energetic. It was a great show. I was miserable the entire time, but the show vibes were really good. Everyone was having a good time. It was very energetic. It was very happy. I was just really sad because my friends were leaving. So I was like, I think I cried on the way there, cried when I got there, cried on stage. I was just very emotional the whole time. And then everything was really well done. And there was lots of, like, we displayed all the costumes, our old costumes, on the walls with little, like, they had little blurbs about them and, like, my original design sketches. So that was extra emotional for me because I put a lot into those costumes and I've never sort of shown those before. So, come in and all the costumes are getting hung up and I'm just like, there's nothing for me to do. So I'm just sitting in a corner like the whole time. So we had lots of staff helping because we knew I was going to be a wreck. I was like, we need everyone, you got to come and help because I can't. I suspect I will be useless. So please. So everyone was all over it. And I was just there being sad. I was in mourning pretty much.
I did like everyone was wearing like Naya and Mayhem were wearing the debut costumes. You were wearing like the original FAEBLE costumes, and then
my debut costume.
and then it was you guys were like doing like the greatest hits, basically, kind of.
Yeah, they've structured it. They wanted to structure it like a sort of the timeline of them in FAEBLE. So we started with their debut and worked through to like the EP, and then sort of the costumes followed that sort of journey, and as did the songs. So they weren't like very strictly in that order because it's still got to have a nice flow and make sense song back to back, but it was structured to sort of tell that story in continuation.
I see. Because I think this was probably like the longest FAEBLE show, including the intermission.
With the intermission, yeah. The other grads were pretty long too, but like in terms of like number of songs, it wasn't that much longer than a typical one man. But when you add in the MCs were extra long, there were speeches and stuff. We knew everyone was going to be emotional and want to give all their energy, so we put in an intermission so people could breathe for a minute. Like they're gonna need it, and yeah, graduations you always gotta give extra time because there's just a lot more chatting happening and a lot more emotions, so it's less bang 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 like a normal one.
So you and Naya and Mayhem definitely produced you did a great show, and then Encore happened, and then Dango Daizoku happened, and you were crying. I was teary. But
I was done by that point. I hadn't heard that song prior to this live. Like I heard it in rehearsal, but I wasn't familiar with the song. But it was just so sad. It's like, what is that song is evil. God.
it
Oh,
is,
what a choice.
even with context with the anime, it's kind of
I'm
sad.
sure, I'm sure that makes it worse, to be honest.
It does.
But
It
I
does.
just put it. It came on, and I was like, I could barely sing anymore, anyways, because I just cried the entire show, and my voice was dead. So I just gave up at that point. I was like, nah, I can't do this. And it was ending like a big part. I got worse as the show went on because at the beginning it was like, yeah, we get to do these songs together. Last time, let's go, excited. And then as we got further in, the songs were running out, and so it became much more like, this is the last time I'm going to get to do this song with everybody. There's only 2 more songs and then I never get to do this again. And so by the time I hit, I'm going to cry again. But by the time I hit that song, I was like, this is like the last one. This is the end. There's no more after this. Like, I can't.
Did you plan like what you wanted to say during the MC?
I did. I didn't plan too much. Like the MC was much more planned by the others, but for my little speech, I had an idea of what I wanted to say, but also I really was very adamant that the show was not about me. And so I didn't want to give a big speech, but I am the representative of FAEBLE as a group, you know, including our past members who weren't all there to speak and weren't on the stage, and also the audience. So I wanted to say a little bit on that behalf. So I said a little bit of something which I'd thought about prior, but I hadn't written it down formally or anything. And then I wanted to highlight the speeches from Mayhem. So I didn't say too much, but I did think about it. But it was, you know, I tried not to make it too formal.
I remember like you handed, I think the both of them, like the concept art for the album cover or something like that, right?
Yeah, so I made the concept art for the EP album art, and we were getting it commissioned by an artist, but the artist was running slow and we were having some issues and we needed to make a lot of changes, and I was really stressed that it wasn't going to be done in time. So I was like, fuck it, I'll draw it myself. And I tried, and I didn't do a very good job because I'm not an artist. So I was too scared to show anybody, and the art came in time, so it wasn't really a big deal. So I've just been sitting in my like art folder for since then. Like I'd never shown anybody it, and so I was also like so excited about that EP, and I was like, when I was drawing it, I was so excited to, you know, release it with them and have really proud of what we did together. So there was a lot of feelings in that artwork. So I got over my shyness and printed it and gave it to them.
What I guess like I asked like how you were before, how was it during, like after, when it was all said and done, when Double Eclipse finished, like how were you?
At that point, we were doing checkies, so I kind of like had the adrenaline overpower, so I managed to keep it together because there was a lot of checky. Graduations are really hard because there's so many people to get through, and you want to spend so much time with everyone, but also people need to leave. People have places to go. They don't want to be waiting 2 hours to talk. So it was really, we were like on the ball. So it was fast paced enough that I was all right, and I really enjoyed speaking with everyone and everything. Everyone had such kind things to say, and I think I cried a little bit because people were just, everyone is so lovely. I really don't have the words to be appreciative and explain how wonderful our community is, but it was really special, and a lot of people reassuring me, I think because I traumatized them a little bit by, you know, hard sobbing the entire show. It doesn't look as bad on the stream video, but it was bad in person.
Really?
If you watch like, yeah, the clips from phones, like I pretty much cried the whole show. It's not as obvious from the distance camera, thank God, but yeah, everyone felt a bit bad. But there was just lots of reassurance. Everyone was being so kind that, you know, it was going to be okay, and they were excited to see what was next, and they'd still be here with me, and those kind of things. And I was really, really appreciative because I was obviously very emotional and sad. I miss my friends. So
I
Yeah, it
was
was really sweet.
oh, I was gonna ask, like, with this, with Double Eclipse, like, did you feel like you wanted to keep Fable going?
I did want to keep Fable going. Or like initially when we did the auditions and all of that, the plan on was that only Mayhem was graduating, so a lot of the preparation that went into was based around like an OT4 Fable because Naya was going to be with us. Um, so that changed quite suddenly. But yeah, I wanted to do another generation. Fable's been a multi-generational group and it has had a big impact on the community and is just there's not a lot of people who run events here and our events are a bit different and I just thought that the scene and myself needed to do it for a little bit longer, like just needed Fable for a bit longer. And it had been, especially leading up to it, we did a bunch of shows where it was really, we didn't realize how far our reach went. Like we did a performance at a university and just university students who had never been to a show or anything we'd never met were like, oh, Fable, I know who you guys are. And we're like, sorry, you what? Like the organizer was like, yeah, I love Fable. And we were, so it was, our members are so important, but also I think Fable itself is important and had more work to do as an ongoing team. And I really wanted to continue that and bring through a new generation to teach so they could learn everything that we've learnt from our previous members, And that was made really apparent to me in the auditions. Like they wanted to come and be like the previous members and learn all these skills and bring that same energy and attitude and values to the audience. And if there hadn't been people in the audition who I felt like really understood what Fable was about, I probably wouldn't have continued it. But they were very, very much had that, and therefore I wanted to keep going. That was also a big part of it, I think.
Before we get into, might as well just get into G3, but before we get into that, do you have like a specific favorite moment with Naya and Mayhem and also as a group in that specific
I was
lineup?
thinking about this, and it's really hard to think of one specifically with Naya with Mayhem because we did everything together, and I was like, do I have any memories where we're not a trio? So I was having to think, and I think like these might be the only examples where we were in sort of duo sets for an extended period. But with Naya, I think we went on a trip to Melbourne together, pretty early on actually in Naya's Fable career, and I don't know, that was really special. It was like only the second time I've ever performed interstate. It was Naya's first time, and we did a lot of sightseeing, and a lot of things went wrong that weekend. Like CRX was a nightmare. The Australian knows the con was like a hot mess.
Really?
And then we held a one man, which was our first interstate one man, and then the venue audio was broken.
Oh.
And so we basically had to sing off vocal for the first time with no preparation. And I don't know, we just overcame a lot of things together, and I felt like I got to know Naya a lot better, and I really enjoyed it. And it was only like maybe 2 weeks after some really tough stuff had happened in my personal life, and it was just a good escape from it, and I really enjoyed spending time with them. So that's a very precious memory of Naya for me. And then for Mayhem, in a similar aspect, when we did the Kaleidoscope live, that morning of, Naya had an emergency come up and could no longer perform. And we found out about, like bit over 2 hours before doors open that we weren't going to have all 3 of us there, which is not a lot of time. So, and we just, together, we locked in and we worked out what we could do. I called up all the idols, like, can you come and do some songs? We, got an announcement out, got a new set list made, got new audio organized, spent like maybe 5 minutes rehearsing the songs that we were going to do to sort of block them about who was going to sing Naya's lines. Did we even know Naya's lines? And then pulled off a good show that those in attendance said they enjoyed. And that was like big for us because I don't know, Mayhem and I are a little bit more soft-spoken, I think, than we let on. We're a bit shy. We're a bit anxious. We're just little guys.
Really?
So Yeah, I know we don't seem like it, but we're pretty little anxious little guys. So that was kind of like big of us. I thought when we did that, I thought we'd grown a lot, and I was really proud of us for doing that and doing it without, the help of any of the FAEBLE extroverts. So that was a precious memory for me. I was very proud of us, and I think it showed how we'd grown a lot and grown a lot together because we could work well enough together that we could just, manage that in so little time. And I think my favorite memory as as a trio was, I think, Baby Beard, because that was a bit, the organization wasn't the best, and then in no critique to the MC, I think it was just unfortunately worded. The MCs before we came on stage kind of put us down a little bit.
What?
It was really I think he just unfortunately worded it a little bit bad. It was very like, "Oh, are you excited for like the big acts? Well, we've got Fable still, so here you go." It was like very like that kind of energy a few times. And so, that was very like should have put us down a bit, and we were like, "All right, boys."
Wait, Ladybeard said that, or like some?
No, the MC of
Oh,
the act.
gotcha.
The MC of the act, and it very much like he didn't seem like he was being nasty. I think it was just the way the words came out were a little bit unfortunate. So it was pretty funny. And then this was only, I think, like, this was the Wednesday, and we had done the EP release live on the Sunday. So this was a few days after the EP release. It was the second time ever performing the original. And a lot of people couldn't make it to our EP release show, so it was the first time a lot of people were seeing it. And I was just really proud of us for making it that far because we had to submit audio for this show months in advance. So when we submitted that audio, we did not have any finished songs. We had the only instrumental that was complete was Akiramanai, which we didn't even know was called Akiramanai at the time. So we just submitted that and we're like, you know what? The release live's going to be that month anyways. We just better have it together by then. hopefully it's got lyrics and choreo. And so, yeah, we pulled it off. EP came out at the same time, and then we got on stage and we did it. And that was probably one of the craziest crowds we've had. It was so much fun. It was so high energy. I was really proud of the way we performed. And we couldn't hear anything on that stage, man. They took all the foldbacks off it, so on the actual big main stage, couldn't hear anything. And we were singing blind, truly.
Oh no.
We couldn't hear ourselves at all. If you got on, there was like an extension at the front that had one foldback on it. If you got on there right up the front, you could kind of hear yourself. But that was so we did really well. There was a lot of things against us that show, but I think we did so much fun. I had so much fun. We got to meet Paida, which was like the first, American Idol I've gotten to meet. So that was really fun. I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed that with my members. I was really happy and proud of us. I guess one of my favorite memories are just times I was really proud of us, but
I mean, it makes sense, yeah.
things we accomplished together make me happy. So.
So we might as well. I was gonna talk about MAHOU GYARU. Might as well just like go into G3 or Generation 3, whatever you want to call it. But we talked about the auditions a little bit because they were announced in October 2024. You were originally gonna go for OT4 because you had noticed that Mayhem was gonna graduate, but then it turned into double clips. So
yeah.
With that, like, what were you looking for in the new members now that like both of them were leaving?
Yeah, so we when we did the auditions, we did not know Naya was leaving. So we did it fully in mind with Naya staying. Because we found out when that announcement went up that they were both the graduation announcement, that was about when we found out. Like a day or so off finding out Naya was leaving. So we didn't know when we did the auditions. So we were looking at taking preferably 2 members because even though we knew Naya wasn't leaving, they're not Australian. So there was going to be a point in the next coming year, 2 years, where they were going to have to leave the country. So we're like, oh, if we can find 2, that would be great. Get ahead of the curve a bit. If there's only one will do, and we'll be 3. So yeah, in October, Mayhem announced in the MC that they were going to be graduating, and then we held auditions. So We did auditions with May and Mayhem and Naya as well, and it was similar to that, but we kind of took what we learnt during that audition and over the years since then and expanded upon it. So we first had an application form where you could kind of express your interest that you wanted to audition, and it was kind of just like submit a video, tell us about you, pretty basic stuff. And then from there we took applicants to an in-person round, and so they got a little PDF that I worked really hard on that was like all the things you need to prepare, and they had to do a bunch of stuff. So they did a solo performance. They had to perform Akiramanai, like a clip of Akiramanai, and we also did a clip of Omon Pakaru. And then I also put them on the spot and made them do some MC and answer questions, and I made them dance Omon Pakaru together and with me. It's very interesting. A lot of everything we kind of did in that audition very much had, and like, for lack of a better word, like an ulterior motive. Like, it was very much purposeful.
Right.
What they did, we were checking like a lot of things. So it was, they did a solo. I wanted to see more about them, what they liked, what they think they're good at, where their current skill level was. Because very much in this audition, it wasn't that strictly about skill level, because you can teach, you can learn, you can get better at singing, you can get better at dancing, but having the same like work ethic, having the same values, wanting to do the same thing is what makes a team successful. So once all that was done, we had an interview, and the interview was really the make or break, because we could have someone come in who was an amazing singer, an amazing dancer, but if they didn't kind of want to do the same things as us, they didn't believe in the same kind of things, or didn't have like the similar things that were important to them. Like, some things aren't necessarily better than the other, but what's important to them when they're in a group or doing idol was similar, we can't take them. That's not going to be successful. So we did the in-person round, and once we'd done all the performances, we were kind of like all sitting there. We were like, oh, I think it could be any of these guys, really. Like, they've all got great potential. And then we did the interviews, and the interviews made it really clear who our new members were going to be.
I see. So multiple rounds. Interview was a make or break. Yeah, you did MCs just to see if they had the right vibe.
Yeah.
How many people auditioned?
Actually, not that many. We had about 9 on the expression of interest, and we took like 4 or 5 to in person. So we try to take as many people as we can to in person, but yeah, we didn't have a lot of people apply, and a lot of them were idols from groups that we now know were disbanding or like reshuffling or looking to join other groups and stuff. So a lot of people were like, "Why didn't you take new faces?" And there weren't any.
Oh.
I don't know what to tell you guys. Not a lot of people applied. We took the best people for the job. They happened to be idols already in the scene, but it truly had nothing to do with it.
So, with double eclipse and then the preparations for ignition, the FAEBLE Future account teased, 2 new members. It was the Guardian of Nostalgia and the Guardian of Ambition.
Yeah.
Purple and blue with red tone, red accent, and
Yeah, purple and pink and red and blue.
Gotcha. And they turned out to be, who were they? Who were they? They were Coda, formerly of Blood Rush, and Azusa, formerly of Citrus Plus. So what really made them shine through and just pass through the audition?
We truly went into the audition in the same way that I really wanted everyone to go into the debut live, is with no preconceived notions of what they were like, what they were good at, who they'd been previously, and tried to really sort of decide whether they were the right fit for FAEBLE by, their audition and what they were putting forward. And ultimately it came down to the interviews. They were really understood what FAEBLE was about, or what we tried to make it about, held similar values, wanted to do similar things, wanted to commit to similar levels. They were really, passionate about, and so really passionate about our previous members, our previous work, and wanted to keep pushing it forward and be a part of it more so than anything. It wasn't like a joining a big idol group for them or getting to do idol. It was very like they liked what Fable was about and they wanted to be in Fable specifically and do these kind of things. And we do like a lot of stuff behind the scenes. I'm truly a big believer in sort of a lot of what we does butterfly flex out, especially because we're sort of seniors. We've been around a long time, so a lot of the newer idols or the younger idols look to us and will be inspired by us or copy what we do because they see us doing it and think it's the correct thing. So it's really important for us to set a good example and, you know, help them to grow and see what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, how to do things, you know, how, and protect them in a way, you know? And they understood that that was a big part of it because I felt that responsibility very strongly going into Gen 3. Gen 2, when we auditioned Mayhem and Naya, Fable hadn't been around very long. We weren't that popular. It was much less people looking to us. So that was less of a consideration. But this one was really, it didn't matter who we took, you know, as by running events and sort of being in the scene for so long. That was a very important factor. And it's why we had to test for MC as well. Like, they need to be able to speak to people because they're going to get asked a billion questions. They're going to get asked for advice constantly, which is something that happens a lot to us and we're happy to give. So they were good at that. They wanted to do that. They held similar values. They really, you know, understood what we wanted it to be about. And wanted to do similar things. Like, they wanted to do music. They wanted to perform as much as they were. They had schedules that would align with that. It was really, that all lined up and I was very happy to take them on. So I was really, and I came into the debut live hoping everyone, it was tricky because they were from groups previously. So there's a lot of preconceived notions about what they're like and what they're good at and what they do. But I'm really hoping everyone can come into Gen 3 with kind of a blank slate for them and get to know them as Fable members.
Right. I guess building a good team is like having good chemistry. It does help that like sometimes people have like previous members that worked or collaborated with one another beforehand, because you and Azusa were originally in Muse. Did you like prior to this? Did you like perform with Coda before or no?
Coda, we've like chatted a few times. I think we did collaborate with Blood Rush at one of my birthday lives, and then we did like the Etude Exchange live where everyone switched concepts and Fable were Blood Rush. So we did that, but otherwise I haven't worked with them too much, and I've worked with CTRP a fair bit, but I actually haven't worked with Azusa one-on-one that much. And when I was in Muse, there were like 10 members of Muse, so we didn't chat that much. I actually didn't know either of them that well, despite them being idols in the scene, and they hadn't really interacted with each other like at all.
Really?
So yeah, I'd worked with CTRP a few times, definitely knew of Azusa, and chatted with Coda a few times. We both like J Fashion, so Coda also used to come to Fable shows a lot, so I knew them in that aspect.
Interesting. I know it was like, because Double Eclipse was January, Ignition was March, like late March, and then, oh my god, Coda, late March. How was the preparations for the debut show? I think I remember like Azusa or Coda talked about like learning so many dances within like a short span of time, but yeah. How was that?
I was very hard on them. They were made official members late December, but because of all the holidays and stuff, we started rehearsing early January. And that was when they first started learning things. So other than they could do, for the audition, they had pre-learnt like the chorus of Omon Pakaru and the chorus of Akiramanai, and that was it. They knew nothing else. And they learnt all, what did we do, like 16, 18 songs, something like that, by late March. So that was lyrics, that was choreography. It was hectic. They did really, really well. It was more than one song a week. Like, it was a lot to get that show out there. But they were really determined and they worked really hard, and an absolute credit to them because they wanted to come in swinging, and they joined Fable because they wanted to do what Fable was doing, and they wanted to be in Fable specifically, you know. So they came in wanting to do a one man like Fable does a one man. So we were like, right, then let's learn the songs, let's get going. So we rehearsed a lot. They worked really, really hard. Like the stamina is no joke as well. Like I think Fable shows are similar in length to other shows in the scene, but we do more songs in that time. We're very and a lot of our songs are just really long. Coincidentally, I don't know why. Ibeck, we do too much Ibeck. Why are all their songs 5 minutes long? I don't know. But it's a lot of stamina, and they did so incredibly well. And between that, they basically focused on that, and I left them there and was like, okay, I will look after all of the admin, all of the orders, I will make the costumes, I will do everything else if you guys can get these songs out. And yeah, they worked really, really hard. It was not a lot of time to prep at all. So,
I see.
I don't know, maybe like 2 months.
Including the songs, the covers, and then also the Fable songs. You also did Reignition, which
Yes,
isn't even out yet, but let's talk about it. How
coming soon.
coming soon. When did work on it start? Was it with the new members or with old members, or like how did that come to be?
With the new members, I had discussed like going into the auditions. Nye and I knew we wanted to debut the new members with a new song, so we kind of discussed that we wanted to do that. We knew we were going into that gen doing that, but there'd been no preparation, so we didn't have a producer picked out. Like we had no idea what that was going. We just know we wanted to do it. And so then Naya ended up leaving. So when the members joined, I was like, by the way, we're making a new song. We need a new song. Especially because like only one of us was returning. Like we needed a song that was ours, you know. So yeah, we just pumped it out really fast. It was very short turnaround for original, which is why it's not on Spotify yet, but it's being mixed currently. So it's coming soon. Thanks for waiting.
I will
But
keep waiting.
yeah, keep waiting. It's coming very soon. So yeah, we put that together. We worked with the producer that I'd worked with previously. So the producer who made Reignition made MAHOU GYARU. And I knew they had a quick turnaround and could do the sound we wanted. So I was like, hey dude, can you spit me out a song really fast? Thanks. The same, we worked with a lyricist who I've been working with a lot now because, you know, I could be like, hey, can you pretty please make this really fast? You don't have a lot of time. And then, yeah, they learned it, went to tweak the lyrics a little bit. The English lyrics I wrote. And then we did the choreography. Coda and I did the choreography. And then we learned that very quickly and put it on stage. It was a very, very quick turnaround.
I mean, it was good. It was good.
It is good. I'm glad to hear. I like it. I think it's fun. I really like the dance.
What really sets Gen 3 apart from like Gen 1 and Gen 2 in your perspective?
It's like the main difference I think is where they're starting. Like Gen 1 we started, you know, we managed to get a one man together, but we sang one song in our debut one man. Like one song out of all of them. And, you know, then we came in like Gen 2 and May and Nay were debuting. We were doing much more regular performances. And these guys are coming in and we're doing original music. You know, we're doing much bigger events. We're performing much more regularly. It's like a already much higher workload, much bigger load of responsibility from the get-go, I guess is going to be the big difference. But also they came in more experienced, at least with that kind of thing. With like they've been in groups, they've been with big workloads before, so it's a little bit less intimidating. If we had gotten people who was their first time being idol, I feel like this could have been a lot to start out at zero. But I'm not sure. Like it's different because the members are different. It's always going to be different with different people, but like wholly it feels the same at the same time, you know, like the same things are important to us. We're trying to spread the same messages and have the same fun and bring the same energy, you know? So it's going to be a different flavor, but what's important is the same and still there. And I'm really happy that people enjoyed it enough and, you know, really saw what it was about and liked it enough to want to audition and be a part of it. That was really special. And then, like, another reason I wanted to continue, because people wanted to join and continue it, you know? There were people who, you know, shared the same passion. They felt what we were putting out. And I'm not very articulate today, but you guys get what I mean.
I see. Yeah. How many performances have you done with this new lineup? It'd be Ignition, it'd be the Smash reveal or like party, and then what else?
Idle Force, and that's it.
Oh
I
yeah,
think we've
Idol
only done.
Force. Okay, so 3.
Yeah.
What would you say are some goals that you have in mind with this new gen?
I would really like to put out more music. A big part, I really wanted to do another EP. I had so much fun with the first one. I'd love to do it. Like, it's one of those things where I get stuck in this like constant cycle of I do something and then I want to do it again because now I've learnt so much doing it the first time. I want to do it a second time with all the other things I can do better now, you know, and then it never ends. So I learned the FAEBLE EP was the first original music that I made. So I learnt so much doing that. I really wanted to do another one, you know, like it's going to be so much better. I see all the things that I can improve on. I'm very proud of it. I love it. I'm very happy with what we put out, but also I could do it so much better now. I'll just do another one. So I'd love to do more music. I'd love to keep performing. I'd love to continue diversifying our audience and sort of making Idol more well known to Australians in general. I think it's such a fun time. I always say to people it's like a bucket list performance. Like, even if you're not that into it, you should go to an Idol show once because the energy is just so unique and the interaction between audience and idols is so unique. You gotta go at least once just to experience it. And we've been having some success with that so far. Like, we have a lot of new audience members and we're reaching new people, so that's been really fun. So I'd like to do that, and I really want to like help to uplift the scene. Supporting the community has always been important to us, and especially as we're going through like a big period of change at the moment, we want to sort of be around to support others and help to put them on stage and to make music and to learn things and to be there, you know, as sort of, I don't have a good word, like as senior community members who you can come and ask things and look up to and answer questions and be there if you need it, you know? And I wanted to continue Idol Force for that reason, and I'd love to do more Idol Forces. I'd love to get some I'd also love to connect more with the international community, which I think we've been doing well the last sort of 6 months to a year. I feel like I'm talking more with idols from overseas. Idols from overseas know we exist a lot more. I can feel that starting to connect more, and that makes me so happy.
Yeah, I mean, the point of Aussie Open last year was supposed to bring more attention from the internationals to the Australian scene. Did it really do anything? I don't know. I don't really know.
So.
I don't really know.
I think so. I definitely think so. And if not, like, the attitude about it was enough to influence people at the same time. Like, it really, I'd been ranting like the months prior, like, we need to connect more with the Americans and everyone from overseas. We're just in our little bubble. We gotta, like, I was making TikToks like, this is how you can watch us on YouTube. And then Eggy appears, like, you know, an angel, like, hello, I've come to do Australian podcasts. And I was like, oh, this is incredible, actually. Huzzah! So I think I've got a way to go, but I definitely feel like I see idols connecting more on like just Twitter, like in each other's replies across the ocean now, which I didn't used to see a lot of previously. So I definitely feel like there's more of that happening. We don't sell like a lot of international checky, which because the shipping's expensive, but I see a lot more international people in our Discord server, in our streams, you know, and around. So I definitely think IDOLEYEZ has had a good impression, and if not, just someone taking the time to talk to us and try and share our story meant so much to me and meant so much to us as a community. I really cannot thank you enough for that.
Thank you. Also, I'm gonna be very harsh on myself so bad forever. But
Matt, you gotta calm down. You're doing a great job.
I don't know about that, but it is what it is. We talked about Fable G3, the goals, the future. Might as well go and focus on your story, which would be your EP, MAHOU GYARU. So let's talk about that. With Fable being on hiatus after Double Clips, you released MAHOU GYARU in February. Was this EP a long time coming?
Yeah, look. I've been in the scene a long time and haven't put out music, so I very much felt behind the curve. You know, Mayhem and Naya had put out music and they, you know, at their first, second birthday lives, and I was here like, come to my fifth one! You know, I felt very behind. But, you know, everyone sort of works at their own pace. I think the scene's very different last year, the year before, than it was when I did my first live. You know, you went, don't be too hard on yourself. I shouldn't be too hard on myself either. We gotta get it together. And it definitely was a bit of a spanner in the works because the plan for 2024 was everyone was going to release music on their birthday. So Naya released music on her birthday. Fable released music on their birthday. Kind of, we announced it and released it a month later. But Fable's birthday music, Mayhem's birthday music, and then Sunny birthday music. And my show was meant to be in December, but with all the graduations, it got pushed back. So, which is why it ended up coming out in February. Because I was just too busy, you know, between supporting and auditioning the new members, supporting and farewelling the old members. Yeah, it was just a lot. I didn't have time to work on my own stuff, and it wasn't. Everyone was very distracted. You know, it wasn't a good chance to like celebrate it and enjoy it coming out because we were all thinking too much about graduations and stuff. Like we just needed a moment to sort of process that. I know I did. I know our audience did. It was not the right time for it. So, you know, but I probably started working on it quite late, actually. The hardest part of original music is the budget.
Yeah.
Just, it's expensive. So I probably started, like, September, August. Around there, I think. Maybe a little bit earlier. It's hard to remember because getting the instrumental produced takes quite a while, and you're also not really doing anything while that happens. So it was very much like, here's a bunch of money and an email, and then you just sit around for a month, waiting for the demo. So I don't quite remember, but yeah, it went pretty fast. It was a very short turnaround for the amount of songs I was doing, but the original plan was not to do that many songs.
Really?
So I had yeah, I was supposed to drop a single.
Just a single, then it turned into 4 songs into an EP.
Yeah.
I mean,
in true Sunny fashion, yeah.
I mean, it's 4 amazing songs, so at least, you know,
Oh, thank you.
instead of just 1. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm about. Like things, especially with artistic projects, and like making original music is an art form. So very much like in the same way you like start a painting and then you're like, actually, and it becomes 3 different things and takes 6 times as long as it's meant to, and you use 3 different media forms. Like it just, sometimes it builds a life of its own, which is very what happened with my EP. So originally I had, because I think earlier, which is why I can't remember the timeline very well, because earlier I had commissioned the first song, which was meant to be a single, the Sunny single, a lot earlier, and then the other songs came a lot later, because as I kind of went along through the process, I was like, shit, I need another one. So I was like, you know, so originally, if it had gone to plan as like being a single, My Way would have been the only song. That was supposed to be the Sunny song, and then I got given Heartbeat Racer. Heartbeat Racer was like a reject.
Oh.
So I ended up with that one. I was like, oh, now I have 2. But they were kind of similar. And I was like, they kind of need a buffer. Because you put them next to each other, they're a little bit similar. Like, it's a bit strange to release a single with 2 songs like this. I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. And then at the same time, like the concept for My Way was the MAHOU GYARU concept. And as I kind of went along, it became a much bigger story, a much more fun concept. And I really wanted to explore it fully. And I needed more songs to do that. So it was like, I decided, I was like, I want to call it MAHOU GYARU. That's going to be the EP. That's the concept. I'm obsessed. And then I was like, I can't release an EP with Gyaru in the title and not have a Para song. That's like, that's not very, you know, not setting the expectations correctly. You can't be like, here's a Gyaru song and it's got no Para influences. So we had to get another song. We needed a Eurobeat song. So we ended up with, I tried to get one that was Eurobeaty, and I ended up with Kira Kira Kanpai, which I loved. It was great. It did not have Para, but it was really good. I was like, oh, because the two things I really envisioned, because I was going to get a third song, which was going to be the MAHOU GYARU song. And I really wanted Para influences, and I really wanted a section that sounded like a fashion runway. Because I just had this image of, like, you know, when you're in your bedroom and you're trying on all these outfits, like, what am I going to wear? Can't decide. And you do, like, you have a little catwalk with your friends, and you're like, what do you think of all these new clothes I just bought, you know? I wanted that energy in it. So I needed a fashion catwalk moment in a song. And, you know, Kira Kira Kanpai sat in more that realm, but it was very clubby. We were partying. It's actually the second demo I got from Snydock. The first one was really cute, and I was like, no, we're a gal up in here. We need to. I can't say that word. We need to get a bit more grown up and sexy in here. And so we ended up with Kira Kira Kanpai, which I love. And it was it's so party, and I was listening to it and I was like, this is what happens. They've gone out and they've defeated all the magical villains, and now they go into the club. So I was like, perfect. This is going to be the last song on the EP. And I was like, I still don't have
You really want
I still don't have the MAHOU GYARU song. The EP is called MAHOU GYARU, and I don't have the MAHOU GYARU song. So I was like, we'll try one more time. We get another song. We need one more. And so I went with Tsunamix, and he managed to give me the two things I was still looking for. I really wanted the fashion runway segment, and I really wanted Para, and he managed to put them both in one song. And I was like, we've done it, boys! This is it! And, you know, at this point, it's like November, and I'm like, we gotta get a move on. So, you know, yeah, we needed the song that actually told the MAHOU GYARU story, but I didn't quite have that yet. So, my way, like, the lyrics came out quite different than the initial concept, but, yeah, because it was supposed to have, like, a MAHOU GYARU kind of concept, and it didn't really end up going that way, because it just didn't work. Sometimes doesn't work. Songs are very much like that, but, yeah. We ended up with 4.
4 songs on, well, mainly on the concept of MAHOU GYARU, or Gyaru in general. Bringing it back around, square one, how did you come up with the concept of doing, like, Gyaru for your EP/single?
So, I've always really liked J-Fashion. That's always been a big part. And a big part of my idol journey has always been, like, for 2 years I did a thing where every single show I never doubled up a hairstyle, so I ended up with some really crazy stuff, because, you know, you do twin tails once and they're out, so you got to be a lot more creative. You know, and I like to play around with my makeup, I like to play around with my accessories, so that kind of fashion aspect had already been a big part of me. And I was really struggling with solo idol in general, because I just didn't have a good sense of myself. I struggle with my own personality. I struggle with what I'm like. I don't really have a good sense of who I am. And it was very hard to then convey who I was or what I was about or what to anyone else, because I didn't really know. So I went on a big exploration journey for this EP. So I wanted to implement that. I've been wearing Gyaru style for the last sort of 6 months. I really enjoyed it, but I really wanted to do Magical Girl as well, because I love Magical Girls. I really wanted to have a Magical Girl costume. I knew that was kind of the aesthetic I wanted to go with. And the trick is, like, Magical Girl, in English, it's a little bit, like, the term girl is much more. You can kind of be any age. But in Japanese, when you say Mahou Shoujo, the shoujo is very much like a young girl. When you say Mahou Shoujo, you think of a magical girl who's in elementary school.
Right.
You know, or, you know, maybe early high school, but she's young. And I'm not young. And my songs are not giving young energy, you know. I didn't want to be cutesy. I'm here doing Eurobeat, you know. We're in the club, guys. So when you say Mahou GYARU, because GYARU also just sort of means it's for gal girl kind of thing. When you say Mahou GYARU, it implies a magical girl that's in their early 20s. you know, they're a bit older. And so the image is a bit different. And then Gyarus are much more, you know, the whole concept and a lot of what people think of when they hear Gyaru is they're a lot more outspoken. They're a lot more passionate. They're very like, they're a bit rough around the edges, and like they're almost what we would call in Australia like bogan. And I don't know how to explain that to the internationals, but I'm very bogan. Like in Australia, I grew up in the countryside, so I very much am a bit. I swear a lot. I have a bit of a rough accent here. Like I'm a bit bogan, so the Gyaru kind of represented me well in that way. Like I look very cute, magical, wow, but also then I open my mouth. So I just thought it represented me really well. And then yeah, Maho Bogan. I always considered putting in a lyric that was like, you know, if you ever seen a Bogan Gyaru, like here we are. So I don't know, it was like one of those, it created an image that I felt represented me well. And it was also such a fun storyline, because if you think about, okay, you know, this Mahou Gyaru, so they're in their early 20s, they clearly have a job, and they're doing this magical girl nonsense. And so when you think about that from like an anime perspective, like the elementary school, they go to high school and then they go and patrol the streets, you know what I mean? This one, they've just worked a 9 to 5. They've had, you know, then they gotta go home. And then, like me, a big thing here, everyone always asks me, like, how long does it take you to get ready? And I'm like, 2 hours. More often, you know, to do all this crazy hair and to curl it all and to do the makeup and put on all the accessories. It takes a really long time, you know, and that's my transformation sequence. It makes me feel more confident. I perform better when I feel like I like my makeup, or I feel like I've got fun hair. It really, really helps. And so that's like my transformation sequence. I don't get to, it would be so much nicer if I could magical girl, and then I look great, you know, but I don't get to do that. And so that's kind of where the concept came from. So this, you know, Mahou Gyaru goes to their 9 to 5, gets home, then has to spend 2 hours getting ready to even go and fight evil. You know, so they put on their makeup, they curl their hair. Like, what do they even wear? They don't have a click their fingers and they've got a set outfit. They've got to pick a costume. What's the best one to wear? I don't know. And then they have to go out and fight evil. We've not even started yet, you know? So I just thought that was such a hilarious concept, but also it was like, it's a very caricature, I can't say that word, of my own life. You know? So I really enjoyed that concept. I thought it was really fun. So the Mahou Gyaru song is very much about that storyline. The lyrics are hilarious. Huge credits to Taisei-san. He really understood what I was trying to get across and put it perfectly into the song. And then Gyarus are known for being a little bit like
brash.
Yeah, they're a bit brash. They're not lazy, but also if they don't want to do it, they don't want to do it, you know? So the song is very like, oh, can you wait a minute? I need to get ready. Like, calm down. I'm doing my makeup. You can wait 5 minutes. You know? Which also, I feel like I get a bit like that too. So it's such a funny song. I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend. So that song is all about, and it's got the runway section. So that's like you're in your bedroom trying on your magical girl clothes, just, you know, which one am I gonna wear today? I don't know. You know, they're gonna do all your makeup and para. It takes a long time. So they go out and they fight the evil. And then the other song that's very on concept is Kira Kira Kampai, because that comes after the end of the day. So they've gotten ready, they went out to fight evil, they won their battle, but we won, guys. We gotta celebrate. And that's the other thing Gyarus are known for. They like to party. So they call up all their magical gal friends. They're like, hey, yo, let's hit the clubs. We just won all our battles. The song is very much like they then hit the clubs at like what, 3 a.m? What time is it at this point? And they go out and they drink and they celebrate until the sun comes up, and then you go back to work, you know? And it's very, Idol is very like that for me, at least. It's really like you go to work and then spend hours getting ready, and you go to the show and you do the show, and then you have dinner with everyone. You want to celebrate what you've done, but also you're exhausted and you have to bump out, and then you go and then you wake up a few hours later and go to work. So it's very that whole storyline. Heartbeat Race is kind of the outlier, but it again kind of was just there. And we're in a car. Brum, brum. So it's kind of fun in its own way. Gyaru Racer, it's much more, that's more about like the drive and ambition. The songs are all like about parts of me in ways, so it's more about drive and ambition and pushing forward for what you want to do. And then what's the other song? My Way is a bit different because Naya did the lyrics for My Way, and I gave them a concept, and they did not do the concept. They were like, doesn't work. I've written this instead. Here you go. And it was really, it's a really special song lyrically because Naya knows me and sees me behind the scenes and watches me do all of this, and so they kind of wrote a song about me in a way, and so a lot of the little nuances in it are really felt really special to me because they'd seen me do it. If that made sense. I felt very seen, which is, you know, when I was struggling with my whole identity as a whole, to do solo in the first place was really cathartic. So it's much more cute, I guess, but it's very like, I'm started on my journey, off I go, yippee, I'm gonna work really hard, and off we go. So it kind of starts out the whole EP. So I don't know. I'm really happy with where it ended up, honestly. But it was concept of a whole is supposed to represent me, I guess.
I mean, it is a good EP. Probably out of like any Kai Guy, like Kai Guy release that I've like heard from like this year and current year, probably like this year and last year, probably like one of the better ones. So yeah. Speaking of songs, like you talked about like the Eurobeat, the vibes, the runway vibes. Like, were there specific songs or like artists that you wanted to pull from to like for those songs, or no?
A little bit. It's very much like I went and found examples that I could send to the producers and be like, this is what I mean, because it's very hard to communicate via words. People interpret them very differently, but if you go, this, I like this, it's giving fashion runway, you usually get across a lot better. And I know a lot of people have been struggling with communicating with their producers because I hear about it and they're like, it's not what I asked for. I'm like, you need to back up with examples always, but don't just send examples. Explain why you like the examples. You need both to cover. I think one of the ones I definitely said was like Super Graphic Ultra Modern Girl by Chapel Roan. I think it's song. But you can hear it once I pointed out because I really liked the talking segment, and I didn't end up with the talking segment in my song, but maybe a future song. But like, and we almost put it in Kira Kira Kampai. I might still do it. It's not in the recording, but like the beginning where there's that long extended part is supposed to be like, and so I walked into this bar. Like how it's supposed to be like that. But it was very much like, that song was very like, we're at the club and we're having a chat and we're partying, which is sort of the vibe. I think Ike was in there. I really wanted like classic Eurobeat para para, you know. And I was like, I think I put Ike in there. My Way was Avril Lavigne. I was like, I want to be Avril Lavigne but a J-pop idol, and Pastel was like, say less. Say less. So like, it doesn't even have to be, you don't have to give idols examples necessarily if they're not what you want. I've definitely used both. I think I put idol songs in there. I think for Kira Kira Kampai, I think I sent them Choco Beam as well. I was like, I want it to be high energy. We're fighting things, but also we're at the club. I feel like I'm a bit insufferable actually when I talk to producers, but we always end up with what I was after, so I don't know, it works. But yeah, it was, the fashion runway was hard. I think that Chapel Roan song was the only one I could really think of that really explained what I meant. Like, I feel like it's a really, when you say fashion runway music, like you can picture it, you know what you're trying to do, but trying to find an example of that is really hard because I think they just use pop hits with like EDM-y, but
kind of,
it's a very specific energy,
like H&M, Zara, like background music, right?
I don't know, it was a bit hard to explain, but that song was bang on, and Skynock was like, got it, I've got it, I'm here, got it. I think I sent it to Tsunamix as well for the Mahou Gyaru one. I was like, I need a fashion runway, I want to do a strut. If I can't put a strut in the choreography, I'm gonna ask for songs until I do. I need to have a strut moment. So, yeah.
So, a lot of familiar faces pop up in the credits for the EP, like Nae, who did the lyrics, Jimmy Memu, who produced, and Kawaii Pastel. Did you have like other people in mind for producing or writing for this EP, or is that the original core that you wanted?
It kind of developed as it went along. Like, as I mentioned, the songs kind of just kept adding to themselves. The first one I had was My Way, which the instrumental is made entirely by Kawaii Pastel. Loved the instrumental. I wasn't a huge fan of the top line, so the melody that I got sent, I was like, it's kind of right, but it's not quite what I'm after. So I went to Jemmy, because Jemmy did the Sake Boze top line, and I wanted something that was more punchy. So I was like, hey, Jemmy, can you make me a top line for this song? And they made one too. And I was like, oh, I like bits of this, but again, it's not quite there. And so I went to Nae, and I was like, Nae, am I being too picky right now? Because I am known for being a bit perfectionistic. I was like, am I being too picky, or are these a bit not quite right? You know, I can't. And I was like, it's okay, I'll make you a top line. I was like, all right, you make me a top line too. So Nae made me a top line. And I was like, I like bits of this. And then I was like, nah, hold my cheese. Hang on. And I got in, I think I was out at the time, so I literally got in TikTok because it was the only thing I could use to cut videos together on my phone. And I cut all the top lines together. And I was like, I like this bit, and I like this bit, and I like this bit. I put it all together, and I sent it to Naya, and I was like, Naya, this is the top line that I want. They're like, got it, chief. Because they would do the lyrics. So I was like, please use this botched, hacked together top line and create something. So, like, I think the chorus is Naya's, the second half of the verse is Jemmy's, the first part is Pastel's. Like, it's a big, the melody is a big mismatch. I think I changed bits of it when I was recording. It was a big mismatch, but I'm very happy with where it ended up. But it was just, there's something about the instrumental that it just ended up being very, like, Annie song, which is not what I was going for. But, you know, in the end, we made it. We made it. Puzzle pieced it together. So I knew I wanted Kawaii Pastel for the instrumental, but the top line kind of, I just got who I needed at the time to get it to where I wanted it to go. And I really wanted to work with Skynock. Skynock was, like, on the list. Because Skynock works a lot with Paida, and I cover one of Paida's songs, and everyone always says, like, they think the energy of it really suits me. And so when I was making originals, I was like, well, the people like this, so I wonder if they can go make a song that suits me more and has a similar kind of energy level. So I worked with Skynock, and I was very happy with how that song came out. And then I needed a Para song. And there are not a lot of Eurobeat producers on the internet. If anyone knows any, can you please send them to me? Because I can't find any. And I want to more Eurobeat songs. But
I have to think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like I couldn't think of any like people that do Eurobeat or like
It's
Eurobeat
surprisingly
idol.
niche. Like
Yeah.
there's three like big Eurobeat producers, but they're big Eurobeat producers. They don't respond to my emails. They're the big gang. But there's no little gang. Where's the little gang? Come out. So I found Sunamix, who doesn't strictly make Eurobeat. They had no Eurobeat examples, but it said in the description, oh yeah, I make Eurobeat. And I was like, well, this is the best I got right now. So but I really enjoyed working with Sunamix. They had like a different process to the other producers I've worked with, so that was really fun. They're very much like most of the producers I've worked with, you kind of be like, this is the sort of song I want, blah 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 blah. Whereas they were like, no, send me who you are as an idol. Send me performances of you. I want pictures, and I will diagnose you a song. And I was like, that sounds delightful.
It's like a skeb for a song.
Yeah, kind of like they just very much wanted to make a song that suited you. So that was really interesting to me. And I was like, yeah. And I said, I want Eurobeat. I want a runway section. Here's me. And then also, I'm very fashion oriented, so it made sense, I guess. And then they gave me MAHOU GYARU, and I was like, oh, huzzah! So that was really a fun way to like complete those sets. And then we worked with Sunamix again for Reignition, which was fun as well. I sent him like the new members and the old FAEBLE stuff, and I was like, please make us a Power Ranger song. Just diagnosed us with blood, and we got Reignition, which I really liked. Yeah.
What would you say is there like, there definitely is a clear difference, but like what would be like the difference from FAEBLE Sunny and Solo Sunny?
I'm only just starting to figure this out, because a big problem I had the last few years and got critiqued on by a lot of people was that, you know, Sunny only was FAEBLE. There was not much else to me, and it was hard to get to know me or even Oshi me because I was just doing FAEBLE. There was not much else going on. So I think they're different in terms of context. like I'm a lot cuter solo. I think it's a little bit more kawaii because my voice color leans that way, and when I don't have other people singing with me, it all over just sounds cuter. It is what it is. So it's a little bit like that. I do a lot more magical girl stuff. So I lean a bit more magical girl than Sentai, but it's still very similar because it's still like a hero kind of thing happening. So Fable's a bit more powerful. I definitely sing more powerful, where like Rangers, and then I go to my other side. I'm like, haha, I have a lot more glitter. That's, it's similar. But like when I was thinking about it, like I like Fable so much because Fable does the music I like. We do everything that I like and I'm passionate about. So if I was gonna do other stuff, I just want to do Fable stuff, you know? So I was like, well, it just needs to be a similar vein, but a bit more sunny, like less influences from whoever else was in the group. So we ended up on Magical Girl, which is, but Magical Gyaru specifically helped a lot. Because I still really I love listening to heavy metal, I like rock influences, but the way I dance and perform is still very bouncy, kawaii. We ended up in Eurobeat for that reason, because I'm not a big fan of like very cute sounding music. It's just not super my thing, which I think surprises people. So we ended up with in an EDM-y bouncy space instead. And I really like Para and Eurobeat, so that was fun. I didn't think a lot of people were doing it. It suited me. I'm happy.
I'm happy too. Like if there was like a casual like Idol fan or like a US fan or someone that just stumbled upon you and like asked you, hey, what is one song that you would want me to listen to get into your music? Like, what is your recommendation?
I think Kira Kampai is the most friendly. Kind of encompasses the most things, I guess. The EP is a bit tricky because all the songs sound quite different. So it's one of those, there's a song on the EP for everybody, but also I don't know which one to tell you off the bat. But Kira Kampai is pretty popular. It's has kind of most of the concept all in one. So definitely that one I think is fun. Or if you speak Japanese, you should listen to MAHOU GYARU because the lyrics are bang on. But I feel like when you don't know what I'm saying, it's a bit of a different experience. So maybe Kira Kampai. Or just listen to the whole EP in order. You're not allowed to leave until you listen to all four.
We went through recommendation, but like, what is one track that you would consider your baby, your favorite?
I keep getting asked this, and I never know how to answer. I think, like, they all are for different reasons. I think I have a bit of a special. I think I'm a bit favoritistic towards My Way, which is funny because it's the least popular song, but it's my favorite, I think. But I really like all of them. But I think like the lyrics make me really sentimental. I think especially because they came from Nair, and then it was the one like the first instrumental I made. It was supposed to be the song to be the first song, So I think I'm a bit attached to it. I really love the instrumental. I'm a sucker for a good grungy guitar. I think it's the same way like in the Fable EP. I don't have a favorite, but also Sake Bose goes so hard. In a similar vein. So I think maybe My Way. I think My Way was like also like the least stressful. I think it was really easy to sing. Like it suits my voice naturally quite well. I think a lot of the songs took me a long time to record, and I had to practice a lot and do it over and over and over again to get it the way I want. And I think My Way, I like recorded it through twice and was like, oh yeah, that'll do. Like it feels quite natural of a song to me. So I like it for that reason.
So with the EP finished, you did an event, to promote it. It was at the debut EP launch on February 16th, also coinciding with Mikan's like return live with Etude.
Yeah.
So you did like that collab kind of deal.
Yeah, Pink Idol Day.
Pink Idol Day. How did you feel about the EP launch event in general?
The EP launch event didn't go super well, if I'm being really honest. I was
How
thinking
so?
about, I knew I was going to get asked about this, and I decided I wanted to be quite candid because I know a lot of idols are really hard on themselves, and sometimes things just don't work well, guys. It's alright. You know? It was one of those things. The turnout was alright. Bunch of my merch didn't come in time, which was not my fault. It's even more frustrating when it's not your fault when things go wrong, but most of my merch did not arrive, and mostly because the production companies just weren't working on it. I had to email all of them, be like, hey, this was supposed to arrive a week ago. Where is it? They're like, oh, okay, we'll make it. Sorry. It's supposed to be at my house. What do you mean you're going to tell the factory to get on it? So, you know, that was really frustrating. I think, like, it wasn't too bad for me. Thankfully, on stage, I was, like, in my own little world. I was also sick. That was not fun. But I was on stage in my own little world, having a good time. But I got told afterwards that some of the audience members were not being respectful, which was upsetting to hear. So that kind of disappointed me a little bit.
How so? If you want to elaborate on that.
I don't really know how to elaborate. It was just. It's also because I didn't see it firsthand, so I don't. It's a bit hard for me to speak on, but a lot of people told me they were disappointed with the way some of the audience had been behaving and treating others and treating me on stage. So that was like kind of a bit of a kicker to come off stage and hear, you know? So I was a little bit disappointed in that regard. It's improved, so it is what it is. We changed up our layout a little bit and did stuff, but it's like usually just shows that something's not working, you know. And I don't think it was necessarily because it was my live or I did anything wrong, but just as audience grows and changes, their needs kind of change. So I don't know, but that was like a little bit disappointing to hear. It was kind of, yeah, the turnout wasn't the best in terms of like the EP was very expensive to make, and financially the live didn't go super well. So it was like, it was a bit mid, you know? It was a bit mid, which is a little bit disappointing, but it happens, you know? It is what it is.
I mean, like, yeah, like, idols always have, like, good days and bad days, be it, like, personal or, like, be it with the live or, like,
Exactly.
you know, but.
Yeah, people had fun.
Yeah.
I ultimately had fun. I got my music out there. I could only go up from there. It feels like the pressure is hard because I've been around for so long. It was my 5th birthday live, but also it's the first time I'm doing original. It's the first time I'm doing this much solo and pushing myself solo. So it was also a debut in ways. And you look at it through that lens, I think it went well. But I think I'm also being hard on myself because I hold myself to a very high standard because I've been here for a while, you know? I gotta have my shit together at this point.
But with, like, after that, like, how many times, like, you did solo Hako, you did, like, the Smash party.
Yes. I basically did like, I think 4 weeks in a row, and then I had a week off, and then I did another 4 weeks in a row of lives.
How were those compared to, like, the debut one or the debut EP?
Better. It was very healing because the week after I released the EP at the EP show, and then the week after I went to Melbourne, and that was, I hadn't performed in Melbourne since the one I talked about with Naya CRX, which was in like 2022. So it had been a while since I'd been down there and seen their scene, and the first time performing solo. So I was really nervous. But I got to go down there. I had a good little holiday. I got to see Christy, which was really nice. And then the Idol Dementia show was incredible. Like, the audience was so lovely. They all knew my songs, which surprised me. I got on stage and it started playing, and they were like yelling the lyrics back at me, and I was like, "This came out like a week ago, guys."
They
You've
did some
been like
studying.
Yeah, like they were working hard. They knew bits of the choreography, and I was like, I performed this once a week ago. Like, goodness, I was so impressed, and it was really, I felt so much better, you know, like just a one-off bit of a, you know, a show that makes you feel not great. Like, there's still plenty more good ones to come. That was really, all the photos are really funny because I was just like grinning like a maniac the entire time, and when I smile really big, I screw my face up, so I'm like in all the pictures because I was so happy. But it was really sweet, and I got to talk to, I didn't realize I had a lot of like supporters interstate. Like, I know I send out orders interstate all the time, but I would never get to see them. So it was like crazy to see all these people in Melbourne who knew who I was, liked my original songs. Like, it was crazy. And the last time I was in Melbourne, we held like the first independent Idol Live in Melbourne. Like it was the beginning of a lot for them. So it was really crazy to see. Like the event sold out. There was like 40 people there, which is a lot, especially for Melbourne. That was crazy. I was like, wow, it's full, and they've all got headlights and they're in my face. This is wow. Wow. You know, so it was really wholesome. A lot of Melbourne idols tell me that Invasion was, which is the live we held down there, was really important to them. It wasn't a particularly good live, but it was a turning point, I think, for a lot of them, is what they've told me. And then to see them, to go down and get to guest it alive in Melbourne and see how far it's come was incredibly rewarding. I was so proud of them. I was so happy to be there. So that was really incredible. I was really happy. And that really cheered me up a lot. So I did that. I came back and then I just did a billion little sets, all kinds of things. I know everyone decided it was time for a Sunny guest slot, so I was just everywhere for a few weeks. Which was like tricky because this is all, I'm training Gen 3 as this happens, so I'm doing all these shows while also rehearsing with them, and then, you know, building the new website, sewing the new costumes, etc, etc, etc. It's been very busy.
Very busy. Workaholic Sunny. Well, it resulted in like really good stuff with Gen 3. And,
you know.
But
I enjoy it, so it's fine.
Yeah, enjoy what you do, so might as well like get into it, because last year, July, when I did Aussie Open, the Sydney scene was, I'd say, in the good hands. And then flash forward to now, a lot has changed. Very much a lot has changed. Starting with double clips with Nai and May graduating, and then not in this order, but like you have Citrus disbanding, you have Blood Rush disbanding, you have Etude disbanding in July, you had New Wind disbanded already, and Noxia disbanding in a couple months. What are your thoughts on the changes here?
I know this looks so super scary from an audience perspective. It's so scary. It's one of those things where we were all really worried because we know things are happening often before a chance. Like we didn't know about Naya, but a lot of the time we do know a few months in advance that things are coming to a close or likely going to end. We knew some of these disbandments were happening before they were announced. And we were all really worried because we're like, oh god, they're going to be all announced at the same time and everyone's going to think it's doomsday. The scene is dying, etc, etc. It's not dying. It's fine. It's just one of those hard points where before you can start something new, you have to end the old thing. So there's a lot of disbandments right now, but there's also a lot of new stuff coming. So I want to reassure everyone firstly. There is a lot of stuff behind the scenes that is coming soon. There'll be like new groups, new collabs, rearranging. It's just a big rearrange of the scene, I think. Like every few years you kind of have people's skill levels changes, people's priorities change, you work with people, you learn things, you realize, oh, actually, you know, now I want to do something different and that doesn't align anymore, and it shifts. So there's a lot of that happening at the moment. And it was really funny because it was happening for a lot of the big groups. So, you know, like Etude's finally coming to a close. We had FAEBLE members generating, so like the, not big, but like older groups. And it was at the point where like, well, they've been around for 7 years, 5 years, 4 years. Like, it happens every few years, you know what I mean? Like, they do their 3 years and they've had enough. So that made sense. And then all the baby groups started doing it. And we were like, oh no, now it looks crazy. But especially with the younger groups, it's mostly rearranging. So they've now been doing Idol for a few years. They have a better idea of what they want to do, how they want to do, what concept they want to do. And so there's a lot of shuffling happening. So in the same way that like Blood Rush and CTRP disbanded, but also FAEBLE picked up, you know, Azusa, and we picked up Coda, you know, there's going to be a lot of shuffle. It's going to be very exciting. There's going to be a lot of changes. It's a bit scary, but it's not all ending, I promise.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, one of those things where I feel really bad because, like, for me, I can see a lot more. I can see the future pretty much because I know what's happening behind the scenes. But that's not public yet, so it's a bit more scary to be in the audience perspective right now. So, you know, like, and it's just like read the notices carefully, because like I think the really sad one is Etude, because I do think most of them are retiring, but a lot of them are just like Noxia just put an announcement up. They're both still doing Idol, so we're closing out a project. Do you know what I mean? Which is sad. Like, I loved Noxia. They're my babies. I love them, but they're both gonna do new stuff, so that's exciting. What they're gonna do next, guys? So you gotta, you know, pros and cons. Pros and cons. We gotta get through the disbandments so we can get to the debuts.
Right. Like even with like the disbandments, you had like Azusa and Koda like going into FAEBLE. You have like groups like Vivid that debuted a couple weeks ago or last week, and then they're kind of new, and like, you know, at least there's like new stuff happening.
There's new stuff popping up. Everyone's off mostly just moving to different things. I think CTRP is a really great example, because if you look at their 4 members, right? So Azusa moved to FAEBLE because their, you know, idol priorities changed. That's what they want to do right now. Amy's still a soloist and is still running events, so they're still around. Reiko moved to China, but they're now in a super cool Chinese idol group. Let's go. That's epic. Digital Jewel slays. And then Patty is now in a band. They're pushing their band much harder. They're doing Annie song. They're playing instruments. That's super cool too. You can still support all 4 of them. You know, they're still in the scene. It's just different.
Right.
So there's a lot of that happening right now, which is a little bit scary, but it's also like our community's grown a lot. It's changed a lot in the last few years. So I think this was sort of bound to happen, but it definitely does feel a bit like, you know, Armageddon, all happening simultaneously. But, you know, as groups like prioritize singing or prioritize original music, or, you know, bigger shows become more regular shows, become more accessible, like, what are you going to do with that now? Is that too much for some people, not enough for other people? You know, there's going to be a rearrange. And it happens with the younger groups a lot, I find, because they'll work together for a few years and be like, thanks, I know how to do Idol now. Off I go. I want to do this instead. Like, it even happened even with like Mayhem, you know? They did FAEBLE for 2 years, and they're like, yep, I want to move to Japan now, and also I want to try solo for a while, and I want to do this. And I was like, yeah, off you go. Have fun, you know? And they take all their FAEBLE journey with them on that. So, you know, it's sad. I want them back at FAEBLE. But, you know, I'm also so happy for them. And we'll get to see them do different stuff. The 2025 52 shuffle, pretty much, yeah, everyone's going to be like, remember 2025 where the scene kind of fucking, the Big Bang, you know, everything exploded and then came back together again? Yeah. Maybe I'll hold a live at the end of the year. We can call it that. We can have all of the re-paged groups. Davey will be like, oh, imagine this compared to the end of last year. Look how different it is.
As because you do organize like events with Idol Force, and as a person who does that, and also as a performer, did you see any like changes when it came to like the audience compared to like last year, or no?
Yeah, honestly, even with Ignition, the people in our audience, we had a lot of new people. It was crazy. We've been pushing for new people for a while, but we felt like we weren't reaching a lot. And we love our regulars. I adore our regulars, but also it's better for our regulars when we have new people come in, because we want the audience to be bigger, right? It means we can do more. So we've been pushing for new people, and a bunch of them came to Ignition, and we were so happy. And it was like a combination of people coming to see Idol for the first time, or had been following us for years and finally made it to a show. And there was just a whole bunch of them there, and I was like, wow, this is great. And then we did Idol Force, and they came back, which is like the biggest winner, where they come a second time and they bring their friends. And I was like, ah, let's go. So they're like, yeah, I came back. Also, this is my mate such and such. And I was like, yes. You know, so that means they tell you, like, we always ask, and with like in Checky time in particular, like the first thing out of every idol's mouth is always, did you have fun? Did you enjoy the show? How was the show, right? And I feel like people are polite. Like, they're not going to be like, oh, shit, actually, I'm not coming back. You know, they probably wouldn't have bought Checky if they did that. But they're not going to be like, oh, it's mid, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'll come back. Maybe I won't. Like, do you know what I mean? So, like, I always appreciate when people tell me they had fun, but also always take it with a grain of salt, because I don't think you're going to tell me to my face, guys. But, yeah, to see them say, no, I had a really great time. This was my first live. This was crazy. I really want to come regularly. And then to see them actually do that and bring their friends, is like the most rewarding thing. I was so excited. So our audience was diversifying. It also helps stabilize the scene because we have like, there's like the core group of the world of guys, right? It's like the gang. And most of them are overseas at the moment, or they're off busy, or they're taking a break. So a lot of them are not around right now. And when they're your core audience and they want to take a break, and no one comes to the show. So it's a bit tricky. So now that we have other audience, the shows of the last few weeks, while they've all been holidays, going to festivals overseas, there's still audience there. And we still had good turnout. I'm very excited. I think our audience has recovered a little bit. The pandemic really took a hit to it, and we lost a lot of it, and we've been slowly building it back. And then, like, it's been, I think, like 2023 through to 2024, it has been a bit stagnant. Like, a lot of people left. We didn't really have new people coming in. Normally we perform at cons, and then like we get new people see us at the cons, start coming to shows. And I felt like last year's Smash, we had like no new people came, you know. And I think OzCC was like the only one we had people come through, which was really strange. So it's really good to see people coming in. And finally, we've been pushing a lot to like overseas and online. I've been pushing to more unique groups. I think like as a soloist, it's been a bit of an interesting experience for me because I haven't been particularly popular the last few years. Like I've been the least popular member of FAEBLE every generation. That's like not a roast, it's just an observation. But I think it's because like the people we were advertising to are less the kind to be Sunny Oshis, if that makes sense. So I was like, I always make the joke, everyone's always made the joke about me, and that Sunny's for the girls and the gays and the theys, right? Is the usual joke. So I was like, okay, well, let's test that theory. And I released a fashion EP and I started pushing it towards people who like J fashion and like magical girls. And suddenly the Sunny gang has popped up, you know? And they've started coming to FAEBLE shows. So it's really like finding your audience, I think, is really tricky but so unique. So it was really my Oshi's in the chat getting upset at being called out. No, we love the fashion girlies. The fashion girlies love Sunny, and I love the fashion girl. So yeah, we've had a lot of new people coming. The audience has been diversifying. I'm hoping that stabilizes numbers a little bit because there's a wider variety of people. So when something else is on, suddenly not everyone else cannot make it, if that makes sense. So I'm hoping for that because we did have to stop doing Idol Force because we couldn't. The ticket sales were not good, which was really a bit sad. But
Really?
we brought it back. Yeah, like there was just not enough people coming. It wasn't sustainable, unfortunately. But we brought it back and it did well, and if it keeps doing well, we keep doing it. So yeah, hopefully. Not sure.
What would you say?
Keep pushing.
What would you say like differentiates Idol Force compared to like the other? I mean, your contemporaries, the other events.
I think it's a lot of what differentiates them is what's behind the scenes. I feel like as an audience member, it can be fairly similar. Idol Force is very similar to a FAEBLE show, and I think FAEBLE shows are a little bit different to the other shows in the scene, but at the same time, they started out very different, and then as people see things that work well and they tend to adapt it into their shows, so as you go on, they become more similar, if that makes sense. But Idol Force was kind of built as... We were talking as Gen 2, we were like, we always say that like supporting the community is really important to us and we want to uplift, you know, little idols and newer idols and all of this. But what are we actually doing, you know? And other than, like, sure, we're giving people advice and supporting them and going to shows, but now that we had a bit of a popularity surge last year, we were much more in demand, we had funds, we had original music, we were like, what could we be doing? Could we be doing more now? And the answer was yeah. So we ran a Taiban, and Idol Force is mostly different behind the scenes because it's designed to be sort of a place for idols to learn from each other. So instead of like being... Taibans are very like you rock up, you do your set, you leave, which is also a pro, but a very different setup, you know? This one is very supposed to be you come, we have a whole talk at the beginning and we talk about mic technique, we talk about how the show runs, why we're doing things. I always try... you can't really hold this too, like, can't hold me to this too much because it really depends on who's available. But when we plan the order, we try to pick a mix of like groups that are more experienced and groups that are newer or debuting or recently rearranged so they can learn from each other. So, and try and diversify a little bit, and just we try to debut new groups. We try to focus on like vocal acts because the Idol Force venue is also a different venue to most of the other shows in the scene. Fable kind of has, we hang out at the Red Rattler and most people hang out at SCAC. So it's a bit different, but the audio setup at Red Rattler is really, really nice. Like, it sounds really good. It's got a fold back. It's very nice. It's very nice to sing at Red Rattler. So we try to put people on the Red Rattler stage, especially if they're going to sing. So we're a little bit pickier with who we take because the priority is to take idols. So, you know, if you're doing a lot of Annie song or a lot of English music or just mainly Adultimita, we probably won't put you on an Idol Force because it's sort of meant to be for idols to learn and grow from each other. So if you don't want to sing, the Red Rattler is really good for singing. We might probably going to pick a singing back over to that, you know? So, but yeah, it's very, we're trying to help people learn from each other, whether it be Fable because we're there, or, you know, like Etude is a guest and maybe they can tell you something while you can ask them a question. Or like one time we were waiting to go on stage and they were like, yeah, we like to slap each other on the back before we perform because it makes our adrenaline go up. And I was like, oh, fascinating. And now sometimes when the babies are like, ah, I'm like, you know, you slap, you'll be fine, you'll be fine. So, you know, like you can learn things from each other. It's a safe place to ask questions. Our sound tech, Lachlan, is very familiar with the Red Rattler in particular, and he likes to also come up and have a talk and talk about the microphones and the speakers, and he's open for idols to come and ask questions. Like if you want to, well, why can't I point my mic at the speaker? You know, like why can you do this? Can you make me sound more like that? How would I go about this? You can absolutely go and ask him, and he would love to yap at you, you know? So it's kind of designed to be like that, and we're more likely to take an act based on having a good attitude and support, being out supporting the community and wanting to support each other than being like the best proest dancer ever. You can be that too, but attitude very important. So it's a little bit different for that. But in terms of like audience perspective, it's pretty similar. It's still like, you know, a Taiwan, so there's a range of acts. I think the only things that are really different is we do like an MC and we introduce each act, which is doesn't really happen most Taibans. I'm always side stage and I'm like, yeah, you know, what's the sour candy one I do all the time? They really like it. Oh, straight from my downloads folder and onto the stage. Give it up for sour candy. You know, we do that little kind of thing. And we also order our acts differently. So most commonly in Taibans, it tends to be ordered in regards to like newer acts to more popular or more experienced acts towards the end.
Right.
And you kind of build your hype like this. Whereas we wait for everyone to select their songs and then we go, does this sound nice after this song? You know, so it's not too jarring. So like we often put like sour candy at the end because they're very ravey. And it's a bit strange if the opening act we're like, oots, you know, like perhaps not that. Or if we, you know, they're second last and then you put like Etude after them and Etude are like,
Graceful.
we've come to perform Tenki Ame. And I'm like, bro, I just doofed for like 20 minutes. I don't know if I can do this. So we're very thoughtful about that, and it sometimes surprises people in the order. Like I think the first Idol Force where we didn't put Fable last, everyone was like, is that a mistake? Because usually like the organizing act goes last. We're like, no. We think it vibes better if we go in the middle, actually. Because of the acts that are here today. So, you know, that's a bit. It's always been an odd priority with us. We feel like I feel like the set list order I do for Fable shows in general has always been a little bit strange compared to what else was happening in the scene. But I think different people have different priorities, you know. So that's why we have different people that come to Idol Force or Fable shows that go to other shows in the community because they like different things, you know. I don't think either one is better. It's different.
Just different. I mean, it's good like people learn before the show or like during the show, like because like I don't think that ever happens behind the scenes in other Taibans. I don't know because I'm not behind the curtain.
This
but,
is true. I think it's less typical for sure. Like I think you can definitely still go up to other idols and ask them stuff, but there's less likely to be an educational panel for sure. I think the other thing that sets like Fable shows and Idol Force shows apart is like we're pretty big, or at least try to be. It's impossible to be fully, and we could definitely improve in areas. Try to be accessible. So we've always been a bit funny about our seating. We don't like I'm one of the people that has to sit down for most, if not all, of the show. But also I want to be in the pit. Like I want to be just as hectic as they are, but also I can't stand for long periods of time. So like when you put the seats far back and there's people in front of it, or they're like right to the side, it feels very like disclusionary, and I don't personally like it. So we're very like, you'll probably see if you've ever bumped in a Fable show, we'll put the seats like right up as close to the stage as we can get, and I'll stand on the stage and I'll like kick. I'm like, cool, I'm not going to hit their faces, perfect. That's as close as they need to be. So you know, we do that kind of thing. We have an intro that plays. If you've been to a Fable, or I think we played Idol Force too, there's like a spaceship. Welcome aboard the something something. Naya's got a really cool voice. It's really fun, and it kind of gives all the rules, but it also like works as sort of a 2-minute timer for the show starting, so it's a lot less jarring. Because for me, when we go from like chatting pre-show, lights are on, you know, music starts, I'm really like, oh, you know, people don't have that second to transition to sitting down. They're all scrambling. I was like, oh, okay. I'm not a big fan of that. So we kind of, you know, the spaceship intro starts and they know they've got a minute or two, but it's starting soon. So everyone will get their light sticks. They're going to go sit down. They're going to get ready, you know? And it's much more of a transition into sound coming through the speakers, lights lowering, coming on, especially for neurodivergent people. It can be less overstimulating. We're going to ease you in. Yeah, Mayhem say didn't realize Willow is in it as well. Yeah. So it's a funny voiceover. It's very welcome to the Fable future is the end of it. It's like a countdown. It will go 5, 4, 3, and then each member says their number and then goes, welcome to the Fable future, and then the show starts. So, and it usually leads into an overture, which again is the warm-up song, because the first song on a show is always a bit flat because everyone's getting warmed up, you know. So usually we do an overture to warm everyone up before we do the first song. But yeah, it's like transitioning to stage is like a form of accessibility in its own. But I've noticed, like, I went to another show in the community the other day and they did a little speech as well. Like in our intro, we do the like, if you get overwhelmed, you can go out in the foyer. You can also go here. We're not going to kick you out. This is all acceptable things to do, you know? Because sometimes people get a bit, oh, can I go out to the foyer? I'm feeling really overwhelmed, but are they going to let me back in? Am I allowed to be out there? They get, you know? So, but I went to another show in the scene and they gave the same speech. So like, if you get overwhelmed or need a break, you can go out into the foyer and then you can come back. Not a problem. And I was really happy to see that, you know, because that's something that I need. So I was glad to see other people in the community go, you know what? Yeah, that's great. I'm going to take that and I'll put it in my show. So yeah, or like the rules on our website, I find you'll see them on other people's websites rehashed, as they should be, you know? Everyone should have similar rules because they're the same thing, really. So I like when I remember when I first wrote our rules, I was like, all my seniors, let me scroll through your rules, see what you've got there. What do we need to put on ours, you know? So we try to make it inclusive as we can. We try to be very clear. Most of our community is neurodivergent, so we try to be as clear as we can. But you know, there's always things we can do better.
Do you have like any goals for Idol Force in the future?
My Sunny Bingo says I want an international act.
Oh.
I don't know how possible that is, but that would be fun. I would just like Idol Force to be successful enough to be continual, so we could do it every 2 months. That would be nice. We've been the one we just had, and then the one 6 months ago. Oh, actually, it was almost a year ago. We both debuted new groups. I don't think that's realistic for every time, but I would love to continue to support groups to get on stage for the first time. So like we had Love Chord debut. They're kind of one of these reshuffles that I was talking about, you know, they take members from here there that have graduated or whatever and then put them in a new unit. Because I saw on their website they were like, oh, save the date for May, and I was like, they're having a one-man in May. I've got an Idol Force in April. Let's get them on stage so they can promote it, you know? So I was instantly in the DMs like, hey, you come to Idol Force? Come debut at Idol Force. So, you know, we also, the one before that, about a year ago, was Mystic. Mystic debuted at Idol Force as well. Again, because I just knew they were practicing and I'd seen them every week rehearsing and working really hard. You know, so I was like, hey, I see you guys busted ass. Do you want to get on stage? Come get on stage. This is no question, actually. You got 3 weeks. So, you know, just trying to. People work really hard for this, and they have great attitudes. And if I can help, I want to help. You know, so I'd love to continue that. The last Idol Force was really positive. We had a good turnout. Everyone had fun. Everyone was supporting each other. We had such a fun mix of like, you know, a group debuting, and then like FAEBLE had new members, so we were kind of a bit fresh as well. And then, but we had Etude there, like, yeah, we've been here, we've done this, we got it, you know. Sour Candy, who don't always get to go on stage, because there's some idols who like not all the events are suitable for them to perform at. Like they can't perform at some of the SCAC events, or they need a lot more notice, because sometimes the Taibans, and like the last Idol Force we were guilty of this, but sometimes you get like 2 weeks notice, and some people really need more than that. So when I can, like groups I know need a few months to call in off work or whatever to prepare, I'll try and accommodate that if I can. Like just trying to get people on stage, you know, rewarding good attitudes and hard work. So if we can keep doing that, I'll be happy. I think it would be, yeah, fun to get interstaters and internationals on there if we can, because it's all about connection and learning from each other. So I feel like we could learn so much by having a international act behind the scenes, you know.
I feel like good timing would be like definitely Smash, but I don't know if like Smash is like really wanting an international idol, but who knows.
Yeah, Smash performance applications just closed.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit tricky to get like actually like sponsored. Like I don't think they would play with full flights or anything, but so it's a bit hard because that weekend is so busy to do. Like there's not going to be an Idol Force that weekend. We tried to do one the week after last year, and it ended up becoming a 3-man, which ended up getting postponed anyways, because like after Smash, everyone is sick, everyone is poor, everyone is tired. You know, it's really, I got an incredible amount of messages recently about idols going, hey, what's happening for Smash? Is there anything happening that I can do? And I'm like, look, I love you, you're great, come up any other time. Because it's like, for Sydney Idols, it's the weekend, you know? So it's really, like, most of us, if we're running anything, it's probably a 1-man. And it's probably not collaborative. And we also probably booked it and organized it 2 months ago. Because it's like, trying not to overlap from each other. So it's a bit of a tricky weekend. But if you come up any other time, everyone will be all over you as an interstate guest. But at Smash, you become wholly less exciting. And I know everyone wants to do stuff because they're already traveling for Smash. So like, well, while I'm up there, but it's a bit tricky because like when you're interstate, you become less exciting at Smash because there's heaps of interstate people there. But also, most of the actual Sydney local guests are busy. They don't come to the 1-mans that are held that weekend. The audience is, I would say, 80% interstaters. But the interstaters aren't excited by the interstate acts because that's their normal act.
That's our locals.
So, yeah, like, because FAEBLE does a 1-man every year, Smash Weekend. It's like a little tradition at this point. But yeah, our audience is like 80 to 90% people from Brisbane and Melbourne and wherever. And they went to see FAEBLE because they haven't seen FAEBLE. So it was like, Smash Weekend, we were, was it for like, yeah, 4 days long. Last weekend, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, Sunday night, Monday. It was crazy. But yeah, if you're coming up any other time, you become instantly cool because you're interstate. So you tell me I put you on Idol Force. You talk to the other organizers, they'll put you in shows. You know, it becomes, you're much more likely to get a collab. But also I know flying up is expensive and you might not be doing it other times of the year. But that's wholly my advice. And if you want to do Smash, you need to be asking well ahead and you need to be pitching like a pro because I'm getting 20 of these. So if you're not linking your social media and your email, if you're talking bad about yourself, if you're not like sending me a video of you dancing, I'm probably not. Like I've got
Not
20
gonna,
of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's only so much I can do. And I'm very busy, so I don't have the time to be like, oh, okay, well, what's the name in your email? Let me try and find your social media. Because I try to know all the idols, but also I might be wrong. And also, there's a lot of you. I'll do my best. But, you know, especially when you like, if you have a more generic name And there's like even Sunny is a generic lane. I think there are 3 other idols in Australia called Sunny. You know? So I'm Sunny Saurus from FAEBLE. Here's my website.
Yeah, that's how you differentiate yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta put all the information in that email. And this is not just for me, this is in general. You put all the information in the email. If they have to go looking, they're not going looking. So they're not doing it. Straight up. Oh.
I usually end idolize not with the segment. That's way before after. But like I always ask like people like, what would you tell yourself before you've debuted? But I guess to change things up, what would you tell yourself now? What would you tell yourself when the graduation notices happened? One, and also when before the EP launch.
I don't really know what to tell myself. The graduations went fine. They were really hard. I knew I was gonna be hard. I knew I was gonna cry a lot. Maybe I don't know. Don't forget your jacket. Don't forget your jacket. A pre-warning that Naya was gonna graduate would have been great, but alas, not a time traveler. But you know, like enjoy it for what it is. Everyone was so incredibly kind. Like, take more videos so you can remember it better. Would be my advice. And then for my EP launch, I was really tired because I've been working so hard for weeks, but no, just that I'm proud of myself and did really well. And that was a lot to do in a short period of time with everything else that's going on. And you don't have to be as good as everyone else, and you don't need to have numbers as good as everyone else to be successful and for people to like it and for it to reach people. You've done a good enough job, I guess.
Well, definitely some good advice. I don't know what else to say, but I guess we might as well just cap it off with this terrible segment that I always do, called the worst pep talk.
Favorite segment.
It sucks. I don't know why people really want it, but
I don't know about you guys. I go on just on IDOLEYEZ to get a pep talk.
you waited 2 hours for this. Nah. But might as well do this. 1 minute on the clock. All right. Sunny, I love the EP. Like I said before, it's probably one of the best Kai Guy Idol like projects that I've heard. And in this like short amount of time that I've been in this scene, along with FAEBLE, along with the FAEBLE to the future. But you worked so hard on it. I know it didn't pan out as well with the launch event, but at least you did. At least you had fun with like the other events right after. And even though don't beat yourself too much on it, but like I know you've been in the scene for a while, and I know it takes a while to grow an audience, and because like people didn't know like you were really into J fashion, and then you put this out and people are really into you now. So hopefully more people will get into you and more people will Oshi you. And shout out to Andre wherever you are. Big Sunny Oshi or Tio, whatever you want to call yourself. But yes, I hope you get more people. I hope you do more solo sets. My God. Hi Andre. I hope you do more solo sets, and I want to see more of you. I want to see more, I guess, more songs whenever that comes out, and more performances. And I do want to see what is next for FAEBLE with the new members. Yeah, especially Azusa, especially with Koda, because it is definitely something that I'm very interested in. That's all I want to see. Yeah, that's basically it. Minute 42. Bad pep talk, but
no, it was good. Thank you. It was good. I need a pep talk too. You gotta apply some of your own advice, my dude. All right, it takes time to grow an audience. It takes time to have an impact, but you're already making one. It's only been what, a year? This is not the anniversary week.
Almost.
And you've done how many episodes? 49. There's only 52 weeks in a year. That's very impressive. Yeah. And look at all these people. There were like 30 people in this chat. earlier.
Yeah.
I was watching. Thank you all for coming, by the way. I really appreciate it. But that's a hard number to pull. That's as many as we pull at a live show. Live show streams get like 30 people. There's a lot of people. Yeah, you're doing really well. The scene is really appreciative. I really enjoy watching the videos. I know a lot of people did. I know a lot of people were excited to come today. And I really appreciate you including the Australian idols in this. And idols in general. And just the slogan, like, all idols have a story to tell, really means a lot to me. Because we do a lot behind the scenes that is not seen. And is taking the time to show that and show appreciation to all the idols means a lot to me. Look at everyone in the chat. Yeah! We love Eggy! Thank you for having me, and thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you guys.
There was so many of you today. It means a lot to me. I see lots of new people.
Thank you, Sunny, for accepting this invitation. I know it was slightly short notice. It was like 3 days before, but
Fine, anything for Eggy.
but thank you so much for being our first official Encore guest. We'll see what happens next week. I'm gonna aim for a weekend show, and hopefully it'll be another Aussie guest. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah,
An Aussie Encore call.
Aussie. Yeah, you know what?
In Australia, this is not for idol shows. This is just for Australians. Whenever they want an encore at a concert, we sing this one song. And it goes, I actually don't know what the song is called, but it goes, hey, hey, babe.
I want to know.
I would know. Yeah, they do it at
Would you
shows
be
here
my
too.
girl?
Sometimes. Yeah. So, you gotta do that. If we're having, you're encoring more Oz idols, that's the song. There you go.
We shall see. But thank you guys so much for being here. If you haven't followed Sunny, why haven't you yet? But go to the card.
Can I put this in chat? Oh my god. Oh, there you go.
But yeah,
That's the right link, guys.
that's the right link. Not Aurora Sunday. That's donezo.
Yeah, I'm a dinosaur.
Yeah. But thank you guys so much. VOD will be up tomorrow on the YouTube channel. I will tweet it out. I will put it on the stories, and then Sunny will probably repost it. It's just the same. But yeah, thank you, and what is my catchphrase? Oh my god! Take care, brush hair, be kind, rewind, and stay gold. We will be going to the ending screen. See you probably next Saturday or Sunday. Bye bye. Wow.